All right, so in this video, I'm going to speak a little bit about the value equation and the 4 levels of value that both ties together. But it's really important when you're getting a key of intellect to know the way that this works and why it's so powerful. So the thing about value, first of all, is when we look at how much we can earn within our life, whether it's, earning in the currency of money or earning in the currency of time, these things are currencies that can be traded, and you get more when you're able to give more, right? And so if you have nothing to give, then the best thing that you can give is money, which is why people exchange in the form of money for other things that they want, whether it's food, whether it's, laptops and holidays, things like this, tickets. This is because we only have that as a medium of exchange. That's all really money is. Money is just a medium of exchange. And when you have value that is attached towards these currencies, whatever the currency is in terms of the maximum amount is just the reflection of how much value that there is on the price of that particular thing. So the price just dictates what the value is, the perceived value. And so when the value is actually higher than the price, then that's when a person will want to pay, when they perceive the value to be higher than the price. So this is important in one, understanding what things that you should pay for, which are going to be highly valuable for you. And two, when you go into business and you start profiting from other people and other businesses, then you're able to raise your prices to the maximum amount by increasing the value first. And as long as you're offering something that's highly valuable, there's no reason for why you can't charge a high price, which is one of the reasons as to why we're able to do high ticket, because we've put together offers which are super freaking valuable, and not just in the hundreds of thousands, but the value is in the millions, and people want to pay for it because the value is so much higher than the actual price. And so when you're understanding value to start off with, you got to understand the level of the value. I have spoken about this before. I don't want to break it down for you again, just in case you forgot. So the levels of value is that we have 4 levels of value. The first one being what we call implementation, where you are using your muscles to make money. And this is where people are, construction workers. This is where they are, just retail workers. This is where people are waiters and working, just in an environment where they're using their muscles to make money. And the reason for why this is the lowest level of value is because it's operating through a limited resource. The resource of muscles is limited because you can only put in so much of your muscular strength towards making something work, making something happen. So the thing about this as well, it's not just limited to your resource of money, but if you're using time to then be the thing of the opportunity to make money during that time, then that's also limited. So it's operating through finite resources, and that's the reason for why when you're operating through the level of implementation, it's the lowest level. So if you're giving the least amount of value or you're receiving the least amount of value, the price is always going to be the lowest. So if somebody's doing something with their muscles for you, you're going to pay them the least. If somebody's doing something, if you're doing something for somebody else and you're only using your muscles, you're going to get the least. So it's important to understand that. The next level above this is the level that we call unification. And so unification is where you're bringing people together who are all implementers. Or it could be unifying people at the higher levels as well. But typically what happens is if you just ascend to this level and you're only at this and you're not practicing any of the others, then you're going to unify people who become implementers. But unification is always going to be more valuable than implementation, because less people are able to, if you think about the skill set itself, when you're bringing people together, the group becomes more valuable itself than it being separate. So it's a higher valued skill set to have. Then when you have unification, the third level of value is where we start to move into like a different dimension of earning, because the value that you're providing is a whole different level. So now the third one that we get to is the level of communication, where you're speaking not just from your head to another person's head and sending a message like that. You're speaking from your heart to another person's heart. You're sharing what you believe. You're sharing what you feel. You're sharing your memories, right? All of these things is speaking from your heart to another person's heart. And this is where people feel the most amount of value, because if you think about what people pay for as an experience, right? People, they pay to watch movies, they pay to go and see people perform, as actors, as singers, people pay for people who can be speakers and things like this. And so when you think about that third level of value, that is where you want to ascend to. If you're going to provide value to another person, is think about how you can communicate better, how you can provide them the communication as either a service or a product. And then as well as communication in terms of what you give, receiving. So if you're going to pay for something, think about what is the communication that I'm going to get from receiving this product? Am I going to be able to speak with somebody, often? Or is it just going to be once every year? Am I going to speak to somebody that's just speaking at me through a video or whatever? Like, what is the communication that you're going to receive? Is there going to even be any communication? And then when you can see the value that there is through the communication, then you know that, okay, I got to pay more. And then the fourth level is where there is money that is used as a resource, and also there is your mind, your ideas that are used as a resource. And if the two are used separately, then you're never going to be able to extract the maximum amount of value or give the most amount of value. Because if you just give money to somebody like people do with lottery tickets, then people lose the money over time, even though they have an abundance. And if you only have ideas that you give to somebody or your mind that you're using, then even with that, without the money, without the cash flow, you have the best rocket ship in the world, but it's never going to take off. So you have to have fuel that's also poured into it. And the two together is where you can experience the highest amount of value. So again, if you're offering somebody else value and you're providing them with fuel and you're providing them with ideas at the same time, then that is going to be super valuable for that person. But on the flip side, if you're buying something and they're giving you fuel and they're also giving you ideas, that's the highest level of value that you can possibly pay for. So those are the 4 levels of value. So the next thing that you want to really understand is when it comes to becoming the most valuable and getting and receiving the most valuable or giving the most value is what we call the value equation. And so this is a mathematical formula that you can be using in order to check in and see whether you're getting the value that you want or whether you're able to provide that value as a service or product to other people. And this is something that you want to use in tandem with the 4 levels of value. So the mathematical formula goes like this, in that you have an equation. And so the equation has a top, not an equation, but a fraction. And you have the top and you have the bottom. Now, in the top, you have 2 things, right? So you've got one, which is the dream outcome. So you have dream outcome at the top. And then the next thing that you have is dream outcome plus perceived likelihood of achievement. Because those 2 things, positive things that you want out of anything that you're getting when you have value exchanged. So for example, if you think about, somebody that's paying to get a plane ticket to another country, well, the dream outcome is probably going to be quite high because they're able to go on holiday or they're able to go and travel to where they want to get to. So dream outcome is quite high. And then the perceived likelihood of getting there, since planes have been going for many, many years and we've seen them time and time again, going from A to B and doing it with a high likelihood of getting there. I think it's like less than 1% of planes that will crash. So now, because the perceived likelihood is so high, the value goes up. And then the bottom of the equation, the bottom of the fraction, is that you have one time delay. Another thing that we have is time delay plus it's sacrifice and effort that you put in. And so because these things are things that you don't really want whenever you're purchasing something, you don't want to pay for an Uber and it takes half an hour to get to you, and you don't want to pay for an Uber and it's like a ton of effort for you to even call the person and have to speak with somebody to then wait in a line. That's a lot of sacrifice on your end, and it's also a lot of effort. So because Uber has been able to make things so much quicker and shorter, same with Netflix, for example, then the value goes up and it becomes more attractive to more people. More people are willing to pay a little amount just simply because of how valuable it is in the time delay and also with the sacrifice and effort. So what you want to start thinking about is when it comes to the offer that you're gonna promote, or when it comes to the investment that you're gonna buy into, or the program that you're gonna invest into to level up the asset that you're gonna buy. How valuable is this when you're looking at the equation and also the 4 levels of value? And if it hits on both of these 2, then you can make a logical decision that this is probably going to be the best outcome for me to go down this particular path. Does that make sense? So that's the value piece, and understanding both of these two is going to really help you out in those long-term decision-making processes that you go through. So yeah, I'll see you on the next video, and we'll take it from there.